Rich.
Are you guys ceramic majors or art majors?
Oh, anyway.
Ceramics?
I was a bartender.
My daughter is an integrated arts major.
Okay. My grandma always.
Her name's Caitlin. She's in a book arts class. I'm going to take ceramics class.
That's good.
Larry,
I get scissors, but I just want to be able to close it up again.
enjoyed your presentation.
No, I usually don't do anything.
Graphic design.
My women, they just take care of me.
But she's kind of moved away from that.
They got my work, yeah. They're
Start
like,
out with a little cup. Make a cup.
If we were cowboys, we'd be able to
like
open
they
that
filled
cup.
my coffee up.
Yeah.
That's a big cup.
Oh, that's nice.
Girls did, yeah.
That's real nice. Now, do you use
What is that, about 15 pounds or something? It's 25 pounds.
As opposed to
That's a whole 25 pounds.
That's a whole bag.
yeah, no, that's
Hey Cynthia, can I start centering this? Because it'll take all morning.
Yeah. Please do.
Okay guys, so here's what this is a fast and furious day because we don't have very much time. So I'm gonna make I want to make one of those bigger pots. I'll make 2 parts and then we'll just set them over here and forget about them. They'll dry nice and slow on the wheels, spinning, so that every corner of them can get a view of that Teton. This is self-centering stuff.
Cynthia, clay.
This is self-centering clay.
If it is, I need to start using it. The SC model.
You know clay comes out of the ground? I didn't know that. Until I started learning about the Wild Clay Research Center.
I know. You know, I want to get my friend, I have my friend who had the pottery in Teton for years. She used to dig all sorts of stuff around there.
Oh yeah, it's everywhere. That's the thing about it.
It has, you know, things she liked for glazes and
So, let's see. Maybe if anybody, you guys should ask questions if you have questions along the way. This is a good trick. This is first trick for the workshop. You ever see that one? You know how you're always losing your shaming?
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself a bobber, Al.
A bobber.
What happened to the film caster? It's gone out?
Yeah, broke.
Those chamois always end up in the recycle bucket, don't they?
Which is a terrible thing. For the poor bug Nelson.
So I'm going to just tell you a little bit about. I used to have that ideology of whenever I would start working on the wheel a little bit, I'd stop. I'd make some cups, just to kind of warm up. And then I decided that now I make all my cups right at the end because they don't have to dry very much. And I make the bigger stuff first in a cycle of working. And so I make these bigger pots and try and let them take time to dry a little bit. And today I do that.
Is this that glaze you said you dig up?
That's one of them.
Yeah.
That's diorite granite ground up with just a little bit of whiting in it. Yeah, one rock.
Beautiful.
Because granite's kind of like the mothership of ceramics. It's got, it's ready-made glaze, really. It's got everything you need in it. Kinda. I mean, it's a lot of oversimplification with it. I mean, I think that's. You just have to be careful about that. It's always more complicated. But you're always trying to simplify things a little bit. But just a little bit of story about the evolution of these pots here, these jar forms that, at least in my life with them. I mean, people have made jars, vessels forever, right? I mean, you think about the archetypal jar or vessel or pot. from humanity, it's a jar form usually. Right? It just, you know, could be transferable to almost any culture. And of course, I think it's that idea about just capturing that much space, you know, and I'm always interested in what's inside of it, like the space inside, the volume. You know, I always want it to be a little bit plumper. It'll never be plump enough. It's a never-ending quest. So that's why I can keep making them. But I kind of got into making these things when I was a student in school. We had sort of a running joke in Kansas City. This is at the Art Institute. If you know, if you didn't have any ideas, you just make big jars. You know, and so I didn't want to do that in Kansas City because I wanted to pretend like I had other ideas. I made some jar forms like that, but. I got this job in Montana at the Archie Bray Foundation. You guys been to the Archie Bray yet? It's pretty cool. You should go there sometime. It's within striking distance from here.
Yeah.
It's a pretty magical place.
Road trip.
Yeah, it's a good road trip. But there, you know, get this job at this place that was really exciting, really a great opportunity. But they don't pay you hardly any money. It's just a reality. Right? They give you a chicken shack to live out in the back, literally. I lived in a chicken shack for 15 years. Loved it. It was a great place. But part of my salary was if I got all my materials and clay and firing for free, right? So I thought, okay, well, I'll just fire a lot of pots. And then I was making all those little viewers, you know, those little tiny things. And it take a lot of them to fill up the kilns all the time. So I thought, well, I'll just knock out some big round pots and jar forms, fill up the kilns with those. That was 30 years ago. Got hooked on them, you know. Still interested. Yeah. I started trying to make them, just kept making them, and really, you know, sometimes I feel like the only shape I ever make is this. Right? It's the same shape over and over and over and over again. But, so it's, you know, coming from a base and that swelling belly of this. I'm in love with that. Still. I just made them for a long time and kept making them a little bit bigger, and then I thought, God, I just didn't want to really go much farther than that with them. And then another friend was at the Bray one time and said, well, you should make them in 2 pieces so you can make them bigger. And I'm like, oh, God, I don't want to do that. It's too much work. But I tried it. At first I would make the bottom like this, just like I'm going to make a big bowl kind of thing. And then I would throw the top just, you know, as it would be on the top. But it was really hard to figure out how to get that top up onto the other pot. So then the light bulb went off when another friend said, why don't you just make 2 bowls? That's the way you do that. And so that's what I do now, is make 2 big bowls, and dry them slowly, and then put them together and then throw them out.
Is that 2-bowl approach something that was used in early clay?
You know, yes, I'm sure, somewhere. I mean, there's a lot of different techniques for making larger forms, for sure. So I know, I mean, I've seen a lot of people use this technique, but I've also seen people do coil building with it too. And I think that the only thing I would say about this is that by the time I get a pot made, the whole thing is fairly flexible. You know, so I can shape it different ways. And the way of, you know, having a metal building, it's pretty set up on the bottom by the time you get the whole thing finished. So it's hard to shape it. So that's kind of why I felt like this was the right way to go for me. It's nice to have an electric wheel for this. Nice, but not absolutely critical. Just that we would have been here for all day centering one piece of clay. So this is you can try play with this technique too with just a little bit smaller amounts of clay, but it's that thing about joining two parts together and then throwing the form with it. But it's worth investigating that because it kind of opens up the potential for a lot of things, I think. And I like, I kind of use the bag as a, it's convenient. I know how much clay's there. One bag of clay is 25 pounds. That's how it comes out of the ground. I usually make a series of these and a series of these is like 2. And partly because that's what the kiln fits, so the series is sort of based around the idea of what a kiln will fit in it. So these go up on the top and get some of those plates on the top of it. But then sometimes if I'm really ambitious, I'll make 4. That'd be a really big series of them. I wonder how much clay I have down there.
Just gonna ask that. How
It's
much
a
do you
good trick.
think? Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Half an inch. So that's a good amount.
Yeah.
Could go a little bit farther down. But no trimming on this. Don't need to trim it.
Yeah.
Just make sure you have a good floor. I used to try and flip them over and trim them. But then I realized how foolish that was. I just make sure that edge is cleaned up a little bit. I'm getting lazy in my old age with it.
Compressing with this.
Yeah. And I'm also kind of working the clay back to the center too. I always believe that's helpful. I don't know. I think there's a lot of there's sort of ideas I think that you get while you're working with a material that it seems like that would be a good thing for it to be compressed in towards the middle. I don't know if it actually really helps or not, but it sure seems like it does, Uh-oh, there's some cat hair on this. Must be from Rosie's studio, which is my studio too. Married to a woman who really loves cats.
Cat lady. How about you?
I love her. Yeah. No, I
She loves him.
I like
Right?
cats,
Yeah.
but not quite. We have a lot of cats. Too many for me. So I get cat hair and everything. It's like my life as a hairball. That's why we don't have dogs, though. See, because they get in the way of the cats. But we joke in Bozeman, you either have to have, you know, a Subaru or dogs. We don't have any dogs, but we have 2 Subarus, so we still qualify.
A lot like Greg.
Yeah, a lot like
Yeah.
Greg's, I'm sure. Must be something about the
Half a drink.
view or something like that.
So what if you have a Subaru and a dog?
Then you're in perfect shape. Then you're
Then you're going to heaven.
then that's
Or
yeah.
2 Subarus.
That's gold.
One dog.
You know,
I'd rather have
nothing
more dogs
against
than less
dogs. I love dogs. I totally love dogs. I grew up with dogs. Just that we've never had one. Hey, how's it going, Dad? Good. My sister has a lot of dogs. She has all these people who live on her property, and they just drop the dog off for the day while they go off and do their job. So she's like a built-in dog sitter all the time. I don't know. She complains about it a little bit, but not very much. She likes them.
Your sister make art too?
She does. Yeah, she's actually more of a full-time artist than I am, really. Yeah, she doesn't have one of those university subsidized university jobs, you know. She does painting, and she does a lot of wire sculpture. Come on, all the way up there. I like this clay. Good
I
stuff.
thought you might.
Huh?
I like it. I thought you might.
What is
I
it?
tried to pick
What is it
the
specifically?
buff with sand that Larry's been messing with lately.
It looks like it's the color of I wonder if it's Helmar kaolin in here. You guys know that clay? Comes from your own state.
Yeah.
Should know that clay.
Kalmar?
Helmar. Yeah, Helmar kaolin. And you know that big pot I had down in the actually that's Helmar, that cup. Most of those cups are a Helmar clay body. Yeah. But it comes from Troy, Idaho.
Troy, yeah.
Near Moscow.
Yeah, near Moscow. Yeah. Lewiston, right? Isn't Lewiston pretty close over there too?
Yeah.
South.
It's south.
An hour and a half
But
away.
it's easy to get to Troy from
You guys know Wendt Pottery over in Lewiston? Anybody know Michael Wendt? Yeah. He's kind of like a mad scientist, isn't he? That guy, jeez almighty, unbelievable. That's a fun road trip. You guys should go visit Wendt Pottery and go see his operation, because he's the guy who mines this clay, Helmar kaolin. And anywhere you see it in the world, he's processed it, right? Like he's the guy who's got the lease on it.
Went is the one that runs that, huh?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, he has quite an operation going on in there. I was impressed.
What's the name of it again? Wind
Wendt.
Potter? Like
Wendt.
W.
W-E-N-N-D.
He sells it by the box by mail.
Yeah, he sells it by the box by mail. Yeah.
It's really
It's worked
nice.
out perfectly because the shipping's really cheap because it's U.S. Post Office.
That's what it
I'm
sounds
sure
like.
Google
It's about the
fits
same
on
as
it.
buying. They charge $55.
But he designed the pug mill so that it would fit one of those boxes that he could
Two of
send it
them, yeah.
USPS. Because it'll go by size instead of weight. It's pretty smart.
Well, it's
Good way to
38
ship
pounds.
bricks around the country too. This is a favorite tool of mine. You guys know this one? Ever
Yeah,
use these?
WENDT, the Lewiston,
WENDT.
on Clearwater Avenue.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Is that metal?
Yeah, this is metal and it's flexible. But I really like that big sharp, that edge on it. Because then you can straighten everything out. So what this is doing, it's kind of straightening out my wiggles here a little bit, but it's also just compressing the surface on here and making it a little bit stronger, a little tighter. And this is about a ½ inch thick or so up here on the top, something like that. And I'm going to bevel the top of this out just a little bit so that the other one will bevel the other way so they can fit together that way nicely. That's the theory anyway. And it's always theory until you get there with it. You know, that's the way it's supposed to work. And whether it does or not kind of depends on the day, honestly. Sometimes it works better than others. Sometimes, you know, you're not quite in the right space for it, or I don't know what that is, that mood thing, you know. Mechanics don't quite work one day. It's okay to have days like that, and then you just decide to do something else that day. I guess it's kind of a bugger, like I make a lot of those tumblers like that, and sometimes they come out like butter, and sometimes it's like they're just the hardest thing to make in the world. And the problem is sometimes you can't do something else because you need them. So you have to suffer through it.
That's good to know. I didn't know everybody had
Used to have one teacher in school who'd look out at all of the young freshmen in school and he'd say, "Do you think it gets easier?" No.
Is this a group of freshmen over here? You guys aren't all freshmen, right?
No.
No, they already understand it doesn't get easier, right? It gets more and more complicated. So the other thing that I try and do making these things is that I leave it, I leave this form pretty vertical like this too, just because I want to have the structure in it until I get it attached and start throwing it, and then belly it out a little bit. Rather than belly this out right away, I want to leave it pretty vertical with the thought that I'm going to stretch it out.
Are you gonna make the second piece and attach it before you do that? Is that what you just said?
I'm going to make the second piece, and I'm gonna set them over here on the wheel and let them just spin and dry to a leather hard, and then attach them and put them together and then throw it out. But that'll be this afternoon. You gotta let it dry for a while. And the wheels are really important, because if they sit and dry, one side is always drier. They dry unevenly, and when you try and go and throw that, it doesn't work very well. It's like you try to anticipate the dry spot or the wet spot. A little bit more pressure here, a little less pressure. You get these big aneurysms in the form. Doesn't work very well.
So keep it spinning and
Keep it spinning, yeah. And of course, so then that makes you say, well, yeah, it's nice if you got a whole studio full of wheels, but if you don't have wheels, then you have to be creative about that in some way.
Would that be true even if you put it like in a dark room without spinning it, or would it?
I believe it would be. Although, I mean, it's just that there's always, that would help, I'm sure. I mean, if you really put it in a, you know, out of the sun and out of the air movement, but it always, I used to try to do that, and then I'd wrap them up really carefully, and they'd always dry a little bit unevenly. And then one time I was doing a workshop like this, and you know, you have to move along, so you put it on a wheel and put the fan on it, and it was like, man, this works great. That's a way to do it. So that's what I do at home all the time too.
Like a convection.
Yeah. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll throw these the night before, and then just leave them spinning all night, come in and put them together in the morning. That works nice too.
You want that?
Just a little
You don't
taller,
have to do
little
anything
wider,
more,
and I'll
Josh.
take it, Josh.
Is it now? It's all wider.
One time, Kurt Weiser and Archie Bray had a story about somebody came in and who bought a big greenware pot, right? And he said they took it home, they put it in the dishwasher, and it disintegrated.
Oh!
I don't believe him. It's a great story. Let's see. You know what I should ask for is, do you have any, Cynthia, do you have any extra buckets, like a 5-gallon bucket of
Lots
water?
of buckets.
Or even that green, yeah, any of those, just because I usually have a issue with
Looks like it's got pickle juice in it though.
making a mess.
That smells really good.
Oh, it does smell good.
This one might be better.
So then the other thing that I always try to make sure for making these things is make sure I have
Slip in it.
not, yeah, or just a hot, can I get some water? Like, so just a thing to rinse off in.
That's gonna need to be cleaned out a little.
So always try and get bats that don't flex at all. You know, like like these. You know, these will really flex a lot. So then what I'm going to do is make that same thing basically, and then flip it over and set it on top of the pot. And if it flexes, it'll pop off of there pretty easily. So get a firm bat for the second one. Even if it's smaller, this is okay too.
Did you bring this clay down with you from Montana?
No,
Oh,
no, I like to use the local clay.
uh-huh. Well, you know our local clay comes from Montana.
I know. Our local clay comes from Idaho.
It kind of didn't look like, you know, I pick up a bunch for Cynthia every so often when I went to Helena, so.
Sales tax,
Kind
right?
of didn't look
Should buy down the state.
Picking up.
Yeah, Montana doesn't.
Oh, yeah. Everybody picking up flies for me, huh?
Like you live out here and you have kids. Go
Yeah.
to the boat and go shopping.
Yeah.
How much water you want in your bucket? Half full?
Yeah, about half full. A little over half would be good. That's what I figured.
So Josh, you
Yeah.
don't
Yeah, I
want to
can go
have a
and train
coffee
by
while you
normal
throw
place.
these.
I may not.
I mean, wait a minute, that's not my
I
job.
got a little, I'll take a little heater, sure.
How come we always go to Bozeman and stay the night when we go school clothes shopping? Because,
Yeah. Because it's convenient.
fly rods ago.
I know, yeah.
Enjoy yourself. Oh, yeah. Good. How are you? Yeah.
How you doing, Darin?
Yeah.
she
I was going back there out. Fell asleep back there.
What?
Where would you like it?
Someone here a couple of years ago.
Thank you, sir, very much.
That's when I first started coming.
That was 2 years ago. Same week.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. I figured you did.
I don't even remember.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah. I looked up the website and the first thing I see is cremation. The cremation arts there.
It's like clay you can knock it out of all.
Yeah.
Use it in lots of stuff.
Yeah.
Did you wedge that or straight out the back?
You know, I didn't wedge that one. And I did wedge this one. So I just thought I'd do a little experiment.
Yeah.
Usually I do wedge it up just a little bit, just to make sure that it's evenly distributed. You know, the hardness of it is consistent. Yeah. But whenever I wedge it, I put more air bubbles into it. Definitely, because that's coming right out of a big pipe mill. Yeah. That's,
Doug's pretty good at wedging, right? There's your machine. Sorry, because I'm too old to do it.
Yeah, it's always nice when people volunteer you for wedging.
You know, it's really funny. Warren McKenzie is 85 and everything else about him isn't so strong, but his arms are just,
A lot of wedging.
oh yeah. A lot of wedging.
I think I did a pretty good job of wedging this one, but we'll know when you hear the bubbles pop as I go into the inside.
You don't want me to fire up the fan yet, do you? Or do you?
Not yet.
Okay.
You're right, we did pretty quickly.
There's heat in here, in case you wanted to know.
There's heat here.
Yeah.
I can feel it on my back.
Sunshine too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feels good.
For the second day all winter, sunshine. Sit down.
It's the front.
Yeah, I was interested to see this big air cleaner here. But there's a place out in Lorton, Virginia. I did a thing at it earlier this year or last year, I can't remember, called the Workhouse Art Center, and it's a pretty interesting spot. It was an old prison, like a work camp prison, pretty much a prison, you know. But it was like a work, you know, for low risk. What do you call that?
Yeah.
Low risk offenders, yeah, who only kind of screwed up, right?
Yeah.
But they had, and it was this whole self-sustaining system. Like they grew all their own food. They made a lot of craft arts and things that were done and produced there. But the place is vacant now, right? It's not in operation anymore. But it's all been renovated as this huge art center, and it's gigantic. I mean, these buildings are. Each one's probably maybe 50,000 square feet. And there's about 30 of them. Big old beautiful brick buildings with this big courtyard in the middle of it. But the ceramics there is pretty, they have a really nice shop there. And he's got about 6 of these in the building. And they just, and I was telling Cynthia that you put this on at night, just let it run overnight, you know, when nobody's here, because then it's when it's quiet. Then it just cleans the air.
Yeah.
It works pretty
I like
good.
the timer idea.
Yeah.
Because that's always an issue, right? You guys, You guys really keep a nice clean shop in here. I'm impressed.
It only took about 3 hours of cleaning yesterday to accomplish, but
We clean our studio 3 times a week now.
3 times a
Were we
week.
doing that when you were there? No. Maybe we were lucky if it was once a week then, right?
Susan here's our cleaning hero.
I think I better step it up. I only clean once a week.
We have floor drains, and we just hose the whole place down.
Your studio's open 24 hours probably, so.
It's open 28 hours a day. 28 hours an
Yeah, so
hour.
theoretically, this studio shouldn't need as often of cleaning since it's not open as much.
Yeah, that may change at some point, but my attitude is that as long as we can get away with it, I want it to be as wide open as possible. But it's a little nerve-wracking, you know. And I think that they go through different periods. I think in the past they went through different periods of sort of shutting it down. And we had the same issue at the Bray too. I mean, we kept it open all the time, and you know, you count on people being sensible, which is always debatable. Because it's those guys who come in the middle of the night that, you know, it's like, nobody's here.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare. I had this one kid just recently. This guy comes in, you know, and for some reason I was in there at an odd hour, and this guy comes in and he's, I see him kind of looking around. I'm like, can I help you? You know, he said, well, yeah, I made a cup over here, and I just wanted to see if I could glaze it. And I'm like, what class are you in? You know, so, I'm in the music department over here. And I had really mixed feelings about him. So like, well, you know, you can't really do that. You're not supposed to do that. But yeah, what'd you make? Let's see what you got. Hooked him up. And then he came in and glazed it with the totally wrong thing anyway, you know. And so he got the wrong bucket because it's confusing, right? There's so many possibilities, especially if you're trying to run more than one thing. So we have earthenware, stoneware, called 6 stuff going now, so the stuff is everywhere. And not even the majors can't keep it straight, let alone some kid off the street. Okay, so this goes all the way down to the bottom on this one. This will be the top, upside down. So it's no floor on this one. So any of you guys making the trek out to Ensika, Milwaukee? Yeah.
One.
Get a little cheese. Some cheese and Pabst Blue Ribbon out there. I've never been to Milwaukee. I'm kind of excited.
He's president of NCK right now.
Hey, who is it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, her. Can't forget old what's her name?
I don't know. I don't say current with it, but
You don't go to the meetings?
I don't read enough of this. I glance at the newsletter.
Josh, this is Sam. He runs the program over in Jackson.
Excellent.
Now you can't talk.
Shut up.
You ever meet a guy named Todd Zach? That name familiar? No. He lived in Jackson for quite a while. You been there for a while?
Only 7 years.
Oh yeah, I think he left about 7 years ago.
I heard you were counting, yeah.
Gotta get there.
I don't think he made pots over there. I think he's just skiing. But he's a good potter too.
How many pounds was that you started with, Josh?
3.
He's really good. Really thin.
Pretty thin now.
I see why you and me asked that question.
We're done.
It was a bag. So it's 25 pounds. Unless they shortchanged us, which could have happened. Forgot to do one thing that's kind of important.
Yeah, just gonna ask.
Measure this. It's already shrunk 3 inches.
How much?
No.
Oh, he's kidding.
I didn't hear him, so I couldn't tell.
I don't think it's actually really shrunk very much yet. Too soon. But it's amazing how much it shrinks. So, you know, whenever you're making lids and things, like measure them right away. And some people even say, you should take them out of your own, take them out of the same ball of clay, too, because the same moisture content. But that's if you really want your lids to fit. You know, who wants that, right? Yeah. Not important. You guys ever hear of a potter named Val Cushing? He was kind of an old timer. He just passed away a little while ago. He was one of my instructors. He was kind of a legendary guy, right? He was all the glazes, all the content, actually all the glazes came from Val's glaze class. Any glaze that you have experience with, I say that facetiously, but it's actually, I mean, there's a lot of truth in it too, because like they did tons of research out of different variations on glazes, and these great glaze bases would come out and be like, oh yeah, that's, you know, AA21, choose that one. And then they go out and use it. But Val, his pottery was really precise. Really, really precise. Like the lids on things they actually really fit. And then you could, I remember going to his house one time, and he had this whole cabinet full of jars, you know, beautiful storage jars and casseroles, and you could go up to any one of those, and each lid was just like this magical experience. It was like perfectly machined, you know. You could spin it, and it would spin for like, you could do all of them, and it would be like, for 5 minutes, they just spin. Not quite, but it was like that precision with them. But when you looked at the pots, they demanded that, right? They were so perfectly formed, right? And the lid, you know, the way the mechanics of the lid worked on it was a whole part of the aesthetic, completely. If the lid was a little clunky, wouldn't have cut it, right? But then, you know, sometimes you'll see potters who have a little bit looser style, Ron Myers, one of my favorite potters. You guys know a potter named Ron Myers from Georgia? And he's real casual about his stuff. And you know, his lids are, you know, they're a little more hockey puck kind of oriented, so you slide them. But they fit with the work really well. So kind of the precision of the work sort of dictates that a little bit.
Josh, where was Val Cushing? Where did he?
Alfred.
Alfred, I thought he was.
Yeah. He was born in Alfred, went to school in Alfred, had his whole life in Alfred. I don't think he was born there, but he, you know, he went to school there, and then he ended up being there forever, teaching. We had the same birthday,
Which is?
January 28th.
Oh.
Had 2 students this year had the same birthday. Another student a couple of years ago had the same birthday. I counted up 12 of us.
Wow.
No, 12 people. How many of you guys know 12 people have the same birthday? Must be something about January 28th.
What's the date? Is there a holiday 9 months prior to? Sweetheart Day or something?
Yeah, it must be. Let's figure it out.
Yeah.
Easter bunnies.
Easter bunnies, that's right. Yeah.
My husband's
Something to do with
January
those
29th.
29th? That's Volkus' birthday. You guys almost got it right. and then Steve Lee, who's the director at Archie Bray now, is the 30th. So, what, 30th? Pretty close. Yeah,
It's
pretty
probably
good.
prom.
Pretty good.
It's prom.
Prom.
It's prom.
Prom.
I'm saying it's prom.
It doesn't, yeah, my parents were definitely at prom. Their kids weren't even at prom. But you're right, that's about right.
It's graduation then.
Yeah.
Graduation.
Let's celebrate.
That's funny. Yeah, at Alfred we have 5 of us who had the same birthday. We'd all get together. Val was our ringleader. You know, it was pretty nice.
Did you just do your undergrad there, or?
No, I did my grad work there.
Okay.
Yeah. Undergrad at Kansas City.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a great experience. It was, you know, when you live in Montana or probably Idaho or Wyoming, when you go to Kansas City, it's like going back east. Right? It was always fun to say, yeah, I'm going back east, going to Kansas City. You're like, huh? Where are you from? But the Art Institute was a really good school because it was there wasn't a graduate program there, so no grads to get in the way. So all the attention was on the undergraduate. And that was pretty good. And it's right across the street from a really fantastic art museum called the Nelson Atkins Museum, one of the great kind of classic museums in the Midwest. Had one of the best collections of ceramics, I think. Just phenomenal ceramics there. And I think it was, you know, a big part of it because the school, there was a really good relationship between the school and the museum. Students could go there for free, so you could just go in anytime and just, you know, I mean, to have examples like that right next door, it's pretty important, pretty spectacular. It kind of gives you a sense of, you know, what the possibilities are. Yeah. And really good barbecue. Man. Kansas City's got great barbecue.
Good stockyard.
Yeah. Oops.
Some music there.
Really good music too. Yeah. It's a great city. Really great city. I like Kansas City a lot. You guys should put it on your calendar because NCECA is going to be there in a couple of years. So it's the 50th anniversary. So it'd be kind of a big deal.
You go to all the NCKs, Josh?
I pretty much do. I've missed a couple of them. I like missing them, but when I did miss it, I missed it. We went with Archie Brave all the time. We have a booth, and now with school we have a table too. It's sort of, I'm just afraid not to go. I'm afraid I may miss something.
Yeah.
And then when I'm there, I'm like, God, I'm so tired of this. But I like seeing everybody. That's a nice thing. I think that's quite a network of people out there. But I'm always, I always have mixed feelings about it. Like I get kind of depressed by it too, because you just get overwhelmed by all the stuff that's going on. There's so much going on, and then you kind of go, God, what am I doing? But I think that's okay. It's good to have that double sort of edge thing. Okay, a little bit farther. I think they're, I don't know. I like the smaller conferences definitely quite a bit better. But there's not really any way they can do that. I mean, I don't really blame NCCA. It's just kind of become what it's become, and it's pretty fantastic overall. I mean, the amount of work that you can see in one place, and I mean the amount of information that's there, and people from all over the world. I think it's pretty impressive what happens really. But there's a really nice conference called Utilitarian Clay Conference. It's out at Darin in Tennessee. It happens about every 4 years. And for pottery, I think that's a good one. They limit it to about 200 people. Another really good opportunity for learning about pots. There's a couple of different ones that are happening around the country now, but there's a studio tour sale in May in Minnesota.
I brought a poster for that.
St. Croix.
Yeah. Yep.
Unbelievable. It's worth a trip up there for the weekend. Go up there for the weekend, rent a car, and go around and see like so much stuff. It'll just make you nauseated.
Where?
Right outside of Minnesota.
It's Mother's Day weekend in May.
Yeah.
Is that
St.
have you done
Croix
the North
River.
Carolina version of that? I mean, maybe the same.
Yes. Yeah. It's really cool. Do they have a weekend studio tour sale thing?
Yeah, it's huge. It's like, I mean, I've looked at the map of all the studios that participate.
We're going to start doing that in Montana.
Yeah. Good idea.
Yeah, why not? Day late, dollar short, but we'll turn it into something else. Quite a bit of it happens in Helen already that way. But the St. Croix one is really something. That's what I see. They sold $500,000 worth of pottery in a weekend. For like 450,000. But what's really good about that is that the sales are really good. So people who are doing the show bring a lot of really, really good work. There it is. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a ton of pottery.
May 9th, 10th, and 11th. Just in time for Mother's Day.
So it's people from all over.
Yeah, people from all over. So
Sarah
there's a group.
Yeager from Helena will be there.
Yeah, Steve Lee's going too.
Steve Lee.
Yeah. And there's a group of about maybe 7 studios, 7 7 or 8 studios, and they all invite people to their studios. And then, you know, then you can go around to all the different ones and stuff. So it's good.
And they say to take a couple days.
Yeah, it's good to take a couple of days at least.
I think that North Carolina was in the spring, so I'll have to look it up. But there was like, yeah, when I looked at it last, it was almost like 30 potteries participating.
Do you ever trim the lip on that, John?
What's that?
Do you ever trim the lip? You know what I mean? Just square it out, even it out more with a cut it off or anything?
No. I don't. No. And I want it to be beveled like that.
Yeah.
Right.
It matches the opposite.
It'll be opposite of that.
Right.
And I'm going to score it and stuff. And so it'll all, you know, it all kind of softens up quite a bit. You mean how uneven it is?
Yeah, a little bit.
This one's really even.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's a self-centering clay. Okay, that was good. All right, that didn't take too long, only about an hour. That's not bad. Always takes a little while. Could have made these last night, but it wouldn't have been the same, right? So then I've got all this clay down here on the bottom too that can become a lip on the pot too. So there's quite a bit of thickness down in there.
No bigger than that rig out.
Always
It's
good
not
to
plugged
make-
in.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
Really
Plug it
helpful.
in. That'd be helpful.
Okay, now it's on.
Whoa. Okay. That's done. Or not done, but that part of it's done anyway. Let's see. Any requests? Good. Okay, I'll make what I want. Now I'm going to make a picture. Yeah, some couple of pictures.
So tiny, so thin.
I think I'll try it. I don't know, one day is pretty tight, pretty quick, I think, but should probably try and make a basket too. A basket kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
But getting it dried might be a little challenging. But we'll try it.
Put one of them big handles in
We
it.
got a heat gun.
When the heater kicks in, it dries pretty.
I'll be the only one that doesn't have one big way.
Yeah.
Somebody in the studio, I don't know who it was, thinking that they were being real covert or something, like stashing their tools in a super special place that they would, you know, you gotta really go to that. It was like a whole set with an elastic around it of like really razor sharp like sculpting tools, and they put it like on top of all the stuff. I mean, that thing went boom by my head yesterday, a couple days ago, and I didn't know it was there. I was like, oh, box, and all of a sudden, here comes the sculpting. Oh no! They didn't think that through.
Jeez.
Yes, they have a note on them now saying, I know you thought that was a good idea. Please don't secret stash.
That was just me.
What's that?
That was just me.
What's that?
If you saw the flash.
Oh, okay.
Is that what you looked up like you reacted to it?
Yeah.
Is that Ramble Mountain Road that goes with this? That's the first night off of that.
It's fact. I mean, there's a soft break of confidence and you just have to break. Have you not peeked in already? Well,
Yeah, for a lot of people. It was good for them because she ended up back there and got her degree in geology.
Oh, wow.
She now teaches geology classes at DSU and also does research for the University of Idaho and so they're geology research. So she's loving it. He got a job with the Department of
I can't get the Teton to come out.
I know, yeah, it didn't get work.
It's too bright.
Yeah,
and they finally decided.
you're backlit.
I mean,
I think you might be able to adjust the brightness on your iPhone.
I think.
The Photoshop.
There's got to be a way.
There's gotta be a way.
I'm not. Here, you want me to show you?
Yeah.
Alright. He knows how to do it.
so the subdivision.
So if you
We are in.
touch it, hold this.
Or the guidance sold the lot access to people. So there were 3 houses on it. And the guy last summer sold his place.
Okay, now, let's see.
It's really a bummer when you're here throwing pots and the Tetons are there and then one of these classic planes takes off.
Oh, it's terrible.
I don't know how you keep it there.
what's that?
You sprinkling your mojo?
Ho hum, another day in paradise.
Well,
I got to see that.
But you kept minutes in the chair.
really sticks.
The moment is truth here.
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, he did.
You gotta have to try that night.
I'm sorry, I stole your spot. Word. You can have it back.
Measure twice, got once.
It got overfired.
That's impressive.
My plates
Dry.
got overfired. Yeah.
Dried good.
Yeah.
Sweet though.
The denim
Should
shirt.
have we use this method with the
The
fan.
denim shirt with the pocket.
Yeah. Oh, how cute.
Yeah.
Oh, is
But
that
it-
ever gorgeous?
And if I use that technique, I could get a pot 6 inches tall.
Holy cow.
Apparently he's done that.
Get that open. Gotta work this seam together a little bit.
That is so simple.
Look at that.
You watching that now?
Wow.
You just working it together?
I am. Yeah, so my inside hand, I'm kind of pulling it up and this is coming down.
Okay, and they were beveled,
It's a-
so
Yeah.
to fit together better.
Try and get this, go over it like this, but then I'm gonna do a couple of other little maneuvers here. This is a,
There, you can do that.
Yeah, right.
this is a paddle. This is a one of the Korean ongi paddles. And these, when people really know what they're doing with this, it's amazing. They when they're using it, they just like
Yeah.
they're really whamming
Good YouTube videos. Korean
Yeah.
Ungi platters.
How do you spell ungi?
O-N-G-I?
ONGGI.
G-G-I, yeah.
Okay, that's right. That's right.
There's some good, YouTube videos of that. Actually.
Yeah.
Oh, look at how long that is.
It was a long. I was not allowed to play.
Wow.
I did a lot of
If you think about it, the paddling, I always like to think about the paddling kind of helps strengthen it quite a bit. Because it kind of is real, it's sort of smacking all the clay particles and getting them to, oh, okay. This is it. Gets them in order.
Vibrating concrete.
acquire these? This is like a sticker on it still.
I got it in Korea.
Okay, makes sense. I was gonna maybe guess that.
At a Walmart.
At a Walmart.
Koreans love Walmart. We had all these students we did a 1 month international thing at MSU a couple of summers ago. We had 12 Korean students and 8 Chinese students and 10 American students all working for a month together in the studio. It was fantastic. But the Chinese students in particular, like within a half a day of being in Bozeman, they had the bus figured out how to get to Walmart. They had it totally dialed in. And then there was this one thrift store on the way down there called New to You. And those guys bought so much stuff at that thrift store. They were in there every day buying stuff. And these bags of
Stuff that was made in China. Take it back home.
It's cheaper here.
Whole journey back across the ocean.
It is. There's no lie.
That was amazing.
Yeah, didn't they look at the label?
And then my
Used by Americans.
the Korean professor who was there, this guy Inchin Lee, he was a real character, and he fell in love with these 2 cook stoves, really beautiful antique cook stoves were at the thrift store. And so all month he was talking, he was like, oh, when am I going to get that? And I'm like, God, what are you going to do, ship it back? He said, oh yeah, I'll ship it back home. Maybe there's 2 of them. Maybe I'll get both of them. I'll get one for my friend too. So he ended up buying both of them and shipping them back to Korea. And he's got them. He said, did you get those stoves hooked up yet? Oh no. Oh, you know, they're in crates somewhere. But someday he'll have them. And I think his friend is going to get one. This is a nice big rib.
Did you make that one?
No.
Did you call it a McRib?
McRib. I didn't, but
Don't drop it.
I know, yeah, you don't want to drop it. Sometimes I need a little perch to get up a little bit higher.
Got a stool.
Stool's probably a lot.
Yeah,
Box of clay?
box of clay maybe, or this and a board. Probably good too. So how about a box of clay will work good too.
Here. Throw that at you.
There, it's like plywood to step on.
Yeah, it looks like a little dangerous.
That's a really big piece.
Might need a second box.
Yeah.
There's lots of board.
Yeah, let's have one more box of clay and a board. Got a where
What do
board?
you think about standing on
There's
that?
some boards
Yeah, right here.
right over there too.
There's a
Those are shelves.
No, I'm pointing at
melamine
that.
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that board, that's perfect. Perfect. There we go. Pedal.
That's right.
Oh, look at that. Gold.
That board is big as you want.
Just trying to make sure that seam is really well joined before I try and throw this a little bit more. let it, you know, let it set up quite a bit, and then I'd spend a fair bit of time just kind of loosening it up again.
Interesting you're using your fingertips.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you ever use your fingertips, Susan?
Yeah, not like that
You're
though.
not pulling it or anything, you're just leveling it, kind of. Give it all the same thickness.
Yeah, evening it out a little bit, but starting to stretch it out a little bit too.
Just push it down on the same seam.
Yeah.
Shape it a little bit.
Itchy.
The cat hair.
It's that dang cat hair.
You have a really good video going here, Josh. I'm watching it.
Oh,
So
good.
I gotta talk to this guy.
Oh.
It looks really good.
Is it?
Yeah. It's awesome.
Of course, you're now on the video, right?
Oh.
Yep.
At some point I gotta take off. What's that?
Wondering about the jar there.
Josh, how are you holding your inside hand compared to your outside hand relationship?
I'm just kind of right against it. I've got the sponge in there too. So I'm just fingers against fingers right now, pretty much. And not one above the other, but mostly right together. Ugh. Slay. Ugh.
Yeah.
listen to the radio, but it's usually some kind of music. Yeah, I'm kind of lazy that way with the music thing. I love being able to just have the radio play different stuff and not really think about it that much. I'm pretty lazy about it. More than anything.
But you do turn it on instead of
What's
instead
that?
of just the quiet. Like I can imagine, probably it's real quiet in here right now.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how different that is from
No, I usually have some kind of noise distraction going on, for sure. Some
A couple cats meowing in the background.
Yeah.
Are you feeling a real softness at the seam now, Josh?
What's that?
Do you feel a real softness at your seam?
No.
Because it's looking a lot more pronounced all of a sudden.
Is that down here?
No, at the back seam.
Right there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, I see that. Oh, oops.
When is that popping open? Is it stretching?
Right there?
Yeah.
Yeah. A little bit. I can fix it though, I think. Is that better?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh,
Start over.
So, yeah, ideally, I can, have maybe have a couple of these going. Well, that's not realistic. I don't usually have two of them going, but I like to be able to throw them and then let them sort of set for a while, and then work on just kind of work out the shape on them a little bit more. And just play with that drawing of it a little bit, because if they dry, then they get more structural and they don't collapse. That's always beneficial. Oh, it's an air bubble in the electricity.
Do you expect to get more belly out of the top or the bottom? Or
What's that?
do you expect to get the top or the bottom to give you more belly, or do you get it out of either half, depending on
Usually the same as down here somewhere.
below the
Yeah.
widest part?
And then the shoulder usually has more in the top of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Because your halves were pretty much the same.
Right. Yeah.
But
But
is that because you like the shape better that way than a belly lower?
Yeah, I think this this is always the hard part, or the part I'm interested in, I should say. I think it's just trying to, but it's not necessarily just that. I mean, it's that in relation to the whole curve of it. But just trying to get this bottom part filled out, so it feels like it's real full, like a lot of volume down there. But usually that's the case. The same as usually down here, and then the curve is, it comes out from that usually and then in. It's pretty consistent that way. Nerve-wracking, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's because of the
You guys
altitude.
are you guys exhausted yet?
My arms are really tired.
The altitude, Josh, up here makes it, there's not as much air goes inside of them. So when you're billing them out, like it's a little bit harder, difficulty-wise.
That's why I'm feeling so lightheaded.
Yeah, that's my excuse.
That's what it is.
Biota. Blame it on the altitude.
What is the altitude here? Is it really? Well, no wonder.
I didn't make that stuff up. Sure did.
By the time you get out to our house, Josh, it's about 7,000.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That's why I was so lightheaded last
yeah,
night.
you really you notice it.
Can't drink too much.
How much dog food can you put in this?
At least a 50-pound bag. 100 pounds. So,
It's not like it's little.
Sure.
Yeah, it's not a problem.
You
You're
got
not
it.
in the way. Yeah, I'm coming.
we have about 13% shrinkage.
Not the back of my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
That white somewhere.
That's the first time I've heard that.
Yeah.
I'm old, I can say that.
What?
I'm old.
Should be more refractory than taking out recognize.
Was that intentional?
What? Oh. Yes. You mean that line to hide the seam?
Yeah, it's a little above the seam.
See, but it distracts you, right?
Now I can't remember where the seam is.
See? Perfect. That was intentional.
And are you trying to really not use much slip now?
Yeah.
Are you trying to stay dry?
A little bit drier, yeah.
A little smaller from back there.
Wow.
I think I'll stop now.
Oh, that's just beautiful.
Amazing.
Okay. Go home now. Well, now we have to move it.
Dog?
I think I'll stop now.
Oh, that's just beautiful.
Amazing.
Okay. Go home now. Well, now we have to move it.
Dog?
He's looking around for the strongest person.
He's got the kids right up here from the college.
Let's see.
Josh, you need a hand?
Do you need a hand?
You need hands? People?
Go for it. Let's put it on. We just put it here. I'd like to do a little bit more work on it, but I want to work on that wheel. So maybe let's just set it. Let's set it here. Yeah, turn this off.
Granite guy.
It's pretty light. We only need a couple of us.
Whistle while you work. Wow.
I see those guns working.
They're not like they're straining too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah.
Got their fingers on it.
Great. Thanks, guys.